water in Idaho, and here's why that's a good thing. Nearly 500 buildings in the state capital get their heat from a clean, renewable source located deep in the ground. It's pretty easy to get into hot water in Boise, Idaho. After all, it's in Idaho, a state filled with hundreds of hot springs. As we know, it borders Wyoming and the Yellowstone caldera, the supervolcano. The city has tapped into that naturally hot water to create the largest municipally run geothermal system in the country. Nearly 500 Boise businesses, government buildings and homes, as well as hospitals and university buildings, City Hall and the YMCA, are warmed by heat drawn directly from hot water reservoirs or aquifers below ground. The Idaho State House in Boise is the only one in the United States to use geothermal heat. The heat even warms some sidewalks in the winter to melt the snow and raises the temperature in hot tubs. And renewable, reliable, and relatively free of pollution, geothermal heating is possible in Boise because of fault lines that expose groundwater to hot rocks, heating water to around 170 degrees Fahrenheit or about 77 degrees Celsius. The water is drawn from wells in nearby foothills into a closed-loop network of pipes that reach into buildings before going back to the aquifer to be heated again. In each building, the geothermal heat is transferred to water in separate adjoining pipes, which distribute the heat throughout the building. We pump the water up, we bore the heat for buildings, and then we put it right back into the aquifer again, said Tina Riley, Boise's geothermal development coordinator. And the number of buildings the city of Boise heats this way has grown more than sixfold in the last 40 years, with more growth on the way. One result of the expansion is cleaner air. In 2024, city officials calculated that geothermal heat had resulted in 6,500 fewer metric tons of carbon dioxide emissions annually, and the equivalent of removing 1,500 cars from the road each year. There's a lot of demand for clean, affordable local energy, Ms. Riley said. There's a degree of energy dependence that comes with this as well. Boiseans began using this natural resource to heat buildings in the 1890s after drilling wells into the aquifers that yielded hundreds of thousands of gallons of piping hot water every day. And the water heated pools and baths in the local swimming pool, a Victorian mansion belonging to the head of the water company, and eventually hundreds of homes in an area that was christened the Boise Warm Spring Water District. Things might have ended there were it not for the oil crisis in the 1970s, which prompted officials to seek a more affordable form of energy. At that point in time, the Boise Warm Springs District had been thriving for almost 100 years, said Mrs. Riley, so that's what we looked to at that time. And let's do the same thing, she said. Today there are 4 separately run geothermal water systems in Boise, one run by the city, another by the Boise Warm Springs District, and 2 more that serve the Capitol and U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs buildings. The city systems is operated as a utility, funded by the sale of water rather than by taxpayers. Ms. Riley said the price of the heat was roughly comparable to that of natural gas, depending on the efficiency of buildings, but costs less when used in tandem with heat pumps. And over in Boise Warm Spring Water District, Scott Lewis, a technician, said that geothermal heat was especially cost-effective for warming old Victorian homes that had not been weatherized. I guess they had no insulation, that's what he means. That's terrible. They should put them in. Anyway, there's also some kind of a paint or plaster you could put on the outside that is also insulation for homes. But anyway, it all amounts to less stress on the power grid because it uses minimal electricity, he said. It costs the district $1,800 a month to power the water pumps that provide heat to more than 1 million square feet of space. Expansion of the geothermal networks has been limited by what the aquifer can provide, but Mr. Lewis said the district was looking to add another 30 homes to the network to help meet demand. It's actually very desired, especially around this area, he said. We find a lot of people are really environmentally conscious around here. The heating system has even made Boise a destination, drawing visitors from Iceland, Croatia, and Australia. We've had people from all over the world, Mr. Lewis said. We love just letting everybody know about our little geothermal system that we have here. This is from New York Times on DNYUZ. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.